Oh my goodness. Jakub Mensik. Are you kidding me? He has done it. He's stunned Novak Djokovic to win the Miami Open in incredible fashion, playing amazing tennis. If you had that on your bingo card, I think you're lying, because Jakub Mensik tells a crazy story at the end that he almost pulled out of the Miami Open due to a knee issue, but it got resolved and he made his way all the way through the tournament, playing his idol, the GOAT, Novak Djokovic, in the final and beating him. Jakub Mensik did it with more than just huge serving. It was incredible how he played from the baseline, and we're going to get into that. I'll show you some stats that show how amazing his baseline play was. The tie breaks were huge. We talked about it beforehand, coming in 5-0. Now it's 7-0 at the Miami Open. So this is one of the most incredible runs we've seen from a teenager to win a Masters 1000 ever. And we're going to break it down here on the slice presented by Betway. Let's get into it. Wow. Oh, wow. I mean, how many weird things were going on coming into this final? Novak Djokovic showed up with like a little bit of a black eye. I still haven't heard an answer to what that's from. The rain delays delayed the match by like 6 hours. Jakub Mensik comes in and handles all of that and plays an incredible match to cap off an incredible run at the Miami Open. So welcome to the show. Welcome to the slice. If you're new here, smash the subscribe button, because this is where you can find post-match analysis, interviews with pro players and coaches, and anything else you like in tennis. Thanks for being here. Shout out to Betway, our sponsor. They had Djokovic as the big favorite, Mensik as the big underdog, but not so big. I think we looked at it with Mensik being plus 450 to win. So that's not crazy. And he showed why, because the kid has got incredible game. This is what I said. I want to put it right out here at the beginning. This is what I said in the preview, because I did pick Djokovic to win. I said he has a huge advantage, but I said this about Mensik's chance to win. So he really has to get to tiebreakers, you would think, in this match. Probably 2 of them. But if he can serve and he can handle his own serve games well and stay focused in the moments when it gets to 30-all, because you know it will, or a deuce or whatever, it's a 3-set match at the end of the day. So him winning and not getting broken and getting to tiebreakers and winning those isn't out of the question. So I kind of called it in that way. Like, thinking about this match going in, I'm like, well, if Mensik can get to tiebreakers, then obviously it's a flip of the coin, and he's won it all 5 times coming into the match. But to be fair, to criticize, to put my hand up and say I was not familiar with Mensik's game as well as I am now. I think that was the first time I've watched a full match of him play, and he showed so much more than just being a serve bot. Yes, he had the biggest serve in the Miami Open coming into it, but that is just like the tip of the iceberg for his game. His serve today had to be incredible to win, that's for sure, and it was. So let's start with that. If his serve wasn't there, he was going to be in trouble versus Djokovic, and I stand behind that. But his serve was there. He broke Djokovic early in the match, and then when Djokovic got the break back, and I believe he got it back to 4-all, it was down 4-1, got it back to 4-all, you're like, okay, is this where Djokovic can get into these games? The serve kept Mensik ahead, but the rallies as the match went on showed his incredible ability to game. I just call it being a gamer. And what I said on Twitter was, I've never seen someone play so big with so little risk. He has a huge serve, one of the biggest serves on the tour, and he can hit winners from both sides, forehands, backhands. He can go huge from the baseline, from the ground, but he doesn't go huge all the time. He waits for the shot, and he has rally tolerance, and he had to today against Djokovic. Played the rallies. He would not go for shots when it wasn't there. He would wait for the right time to do it most of the time. And that's a level of maturity we haven't seen with many, many players. Even a guy like Alcaraz, for all he's done I think he had a bit, like when Alcaraz is at his best, he does the same thing. He doesn't go for things that aren't there. He goes for stuff he knows he can make, and then he makes them. We saw Mensik do that today over and over and over. And his ability to defend from both wings as such a big guy was also insane, because Djokovic is playing from the baseline thinking, when am I going to start getting the edge in these rallies? And it really never came. And the stats show that. So check this out. So in total points won, Djokovic actually won more points, which is crazy. But look at the rallies. 0-4 shots, Djokovic actually had the slight advantage, 38-37. 5-8 shot rallies, 15-14 for Djokovic. And 9+ shot rallies, 9-8 for Djokovic. Barely an advantage in any of the categories. So let's just refresh that to make sure it is fresh. But yeah, there's no real advantage as the points got longer for Djokovic, and that is not something I would have expected coming into this. I watched with our eyes. The rallies get longer. Mensik with his forehand, he has a fairly long, he reaches far behind him with his forehand stroke. I don't actually love his technique, to be honest, but obviously it works. And that can cause problems, but he knows how to just get the forehand in play. He makes the balls. His backhand too, pretty compact on the backhand, keeps the racket straight up and down and just whacks it through, dinks it back in the court. And then when there's a moment there, boom, flattens it out, takes it, leans through the shot, takes it down the line, forehand or backhand, and can surprise you and hit a winner. But for so many of these rallies, he was staying in it, playing with Djokovic, moving with Djokovic. And at the end of some of these long rallies, you saw Djokovic on the ground being exhausted, which makes sense because he's like 38 years old. He's playing a much younger guy. That should happen. But most of these guys who have a huge serve like Mensik cannot stay with him in the rallies. And that goes for like anyone almost. Like Zverev's kind of one of those guys who can, but he's got other problems. Khachanov beat Djokovic back in 2018 Paris Masters, but Mensik seems to have a more well-rounded baseline game than almost any of the other players that I've ever seen serve that big. So that's kind of how he got it done today. He served amazing, and he was able to game with Djokovic in the big rallies, in the big moments too. Whenever there's a tight moment, as I said in the preview, 30 all, 30, 40 all on his serve, boom, ace. You saw Djokovic shaking his head so many times. He could drop the hammer, and he did, but he stayed cool. He stayed calm, and he played amazing tennis. Let's throw the stats back up here and look at it a little bit deeper, just for the general stats. Serve rating, a little bit. Djokovic, I want to say this as well to get it. It's in there. Djokovic did not play a bad match today at all. He played a good match. He had high level, served well. Serve rating 297, 7 aces, 1 double fault, 76% first serve in, higher than Mensik, 177%. It's not as high maybe as normal, but it's pretty high. But Mensik did return super well as well. Break point saved. Mensik got broken once. So did Djokovic. Return rating, Djokovic is high. Mensik wasn't as high. Can't really blame him. But winners, 29 winners for Mensik to 22 unforced errors. That's a better ratio than Djokovic. And he was able to go 4 shots when they were there over and over and over. And that's just like, it's kind of rare to see that in the men's game of tennis right now. Like, how many young guys can say that they're playing huge while being super disciplined and mature with their game? So yeah, kudos to Jakub Mensik. What a player, what a star. Like, he is here officially. He is officially here. And now the players are saying, the fans who, like you guys are saying, why doesn't Mensik have as much hype as Joao Fonseca? I think that's about to change, because he's just showed that he can beat Djokovic in the finals of a Masters 1000. Now he's one of the few guys on tour who's won a Masters 1000. So that puts him into a whole nother category. Yeah, and he's going to be a guy to fear, especially on the hard courts, but we'll see on the clay and the grass. As a 19-year-old, he's got unbelievable weapons, unbelievable game. I'm just so impressed by his baseline strength to play in these rallies, not give up, not try to bail out of rallies, to be physically fit enough to do that, and to be mature enough to know that you can just wait for his shot. He can defend at that size, just crazy. One thing Djokovic, I did notice him doing, was slicing the ball. So he would slice his backhand like down the line into Mensik's forehand. And that did cause him a few times at different points in the match to dump the ball into the net. Most of Mensik's misses were going into the net. So you can chalk that up to a few different things, but what the backspin, the slice, if Mensik's not going up the ball enough, then it goes into the net. And it doesn't look like Mensik plays with a crazy amount of spin. So that was one thing that we saw Djokovic go to. He tried to go to the serve. But it did feel like for playing a guy Mensik's size, he was having to hit like 2 or 3 shots, really good shots in a rally to win a point, and then he would come up with a winner. He only won 5 points at the net. Djokovic 5 for 5 at the net. Maybe he should have come forward more. But again, it's some of the returns that Mensik hit. The set point that he won in the first set, unbelievable return. If you go back and watch that from Mensik to set up that point, Djokovic had kind of got a little bit of momentum back in that tiebreak, and Mensik cracks a return. So maybe that was keeping Djokovic from coming into the net more, but probably you would have liked to see him get into the net more and make Mensik work for it. But he didn't do it. Again, these are 2 out of 3 set matches, so they can go fairly quickly. And yeah, like I thought was the key for Mensik, he got to 2 tiebreakers and he won them both. And it's just, you just don't see that. You do not see players when Djokovic is playing good, bring their best stuff, be mentally strong, and execute and be clutch in their first ever Masters 1000 final. It just really doesn't happen. Holger Rune, Paris Masters 2022. That was similar, I would say. But this Jakub Mensik, the serve he has is just an insane weapon. And to be able to play from the baseline, from the ground like he does as well, just makes it seem like he could beat anyone on a tour. And he's gonna be a force to be reckoned with for a while. So yeah, hello, Jakub Mensik, for new kid on the block from the Czech Republic. One of the commenters wanted me to call it the Czech Republic instead of Czechia. So today we call it the Czech Republic. Huge Czech player, another Eastern European or European player who's unbelievable. And yeah, what a win, what a player. I don't got anything else to say, I don't think. So big, takes so little risk, makes the shots in the rally, waits for the moment. And yeah, it was unbelievable to see as the rallies got longer versus Djokovic for his percentage of winning them to not go down. You never see that, especially with a guy who could serve like that. So unbelievable. I'm excited to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. So leave your thoughts below. But for now, shout out to Jakub Mensik and his fans. Huge congrats. That's huge. Djokovic, the chase for 100 titles goes on. He would have loved to get it here in Miami. That's a stinger a bit. He found his game. He found his game in Miami, but he didn't get the win. But I think if you're a Djokovic fan, you're going to take that because he's going to have more chances, obviously. If he can play that way and he can find his game, he's going to have more chances to win the title. So I'm sure he's getting 100 soon, but he's going to have to wait for it. Not coming in Miami. That's going to Jakub Mensik. Unbelievable player. Welcome to the big time. New Masters 1000 champion on the ATP Tour. Thanks for being here. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for watching. Thanks for checking out Betway and my Betway feed posts throughout the tournaments. That's the Miami Open. Betway is a huge sponsor of the tournament, and they put us down there. So thank you for tuning in, subscribing, following us on Instagram and Twitter to see our coverage of the Miami Open. It was a great experience. It was a long 2 weeks. That's what these new Masters 1000s are. But yeah, shout out to Betway. Shout out to the fans for coming to say hi in Miami, being down below. And yeah, what a tournament. Jakub Mensik wins it for the men's. And we didn't do a review, but Aryna Sabalenka got it done finally for herself. Number 1 player in the world, clearly didn't win the Australian Open, didn't win Indian Wells, but does win here in Dubai, but does win here in Miami. So Aryna Sabalenka stays on top. Mira Andreeva won the women's double, so she technically just won her 3rd WTA 1000 in a row. That's crazy. I tweeted that out. But we didn't really do a full women's review here, so they deserve much more credit than just a little mention at the end, but we only got time to do what we can do. So thanks for being here. We'll see you guys next time on the Slice on the Clay. It's clay season, baby. Let's get into it. We'll see you next time here on the show.